Once, a member of one of my Scrum teams came to me and said, "Hey, we have very few user stories left in this sprint, and today is the last day of the sprint, but we have very few user stories left. So let us increase the length of this sprint by 2 more days, and then we'll be able to complete those stories within this sprint." So he basically asked me to extend the sprint by 2 more days. Now you tell me, if I ask you that let's add 2 more hours to this day and let's make it a day of 26 hours long, is it possible? Or if I ask you, let's add 5 more days to this month and let us make this month as a 35 days long month, because I planned certain activities and I need just 5 more days to complete that. So if we add 5 more days to this month and make it as a 35 days long month, I'll be able to complete those activities in this month. So is it possible? Is it doable? The answer is no. Then why are you asking to extend the length of the sprint? It means that you are using a Scrum framework, you are doing the iterative development cycles through sprints, but you never try to understand the true meaning of a sprint. So it's important for every Scrum team, their leader, their members, everyone, and the organizations to understand what do we mean by sprint, right? So Scrum framework has defined it in a really good and simple way, and I don't know why people have complicated it so much, but Scrum framework tells it very clearly that sprint is a time boxed iteration. Okay, when we say something is time boxed, it has the maximum time limit. Okay, so it will expire after that time limit, it will end after that time limit. So it is a time boxed iteration. So the length of the sprint is decided by the Scrum team together, and it will vary from organization to organizations, from project to project. So when you start a project, you decide on the sprint length, and generally we keep the same length throughout the whole project. And it is suggested that you have the length of the sprint which is not more than 1 month, because after 1 month it is likely that many things can change in the environment, or from the business perspective in terms of business needs, or etc., or etc. So it is really important that after every 1 month you get the feedback from the stakeholders and you inspect and adapt. So to minimize the risk, it is suggested that your sprint length should not be more than 1 month. Now it will again depend upon your project and your organization, that and also the nature of the work you are doing, that what will be the length of your sprint. But it has a fixed length. It could be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. Suppose my project is having 2 weeks of a sprint, which is starting on every Monday. So obviously after 2 weeks that length will expire, the time box will expire, which means that sprint will expire. There is no provision, and there is no way to increase the length of the sprint. You can't do it, because it is a time box, the length is expired. So the sprint will end after 2 weeks and the new sprint will begin. So whatever work items you couldn't complete, discuss about it as a Scrum team together with the product owner, and in the planning for the next sprint, you as a Scrum team together will decide now if those work items needs to be carried forward, or they need to put back in the product backlog, or something else has now a priority and that needs to be worked upon first. So any leftover items, they'll go back to the product backlog, and from there the product owner can take the decision on it whether they needs to be carried forward or not. But there is no way and no provision in Scrum to increase the length of the sprint only because you couldn't complete some of the work items. If you really couldn't complete some of the work items, then this is also an opportunity to retrospect and to think why these work items that you forecasted could not be completed. What is the reason behind it? You should also pay attention to that. But really only for the sake of reporting, or only for the sake of showcasing that you have completed your work items, you really cannot increase the length of the sprint. That is really not the Scrum practice. So yeah, I hope you could refine your knowledge about the sprint, the concept of a sprint and Scrum through this video. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comments box. I'll be happy to answer. But please, please, please do not fall in this trap of misconceptions about increasing the length of the sprint only because, so that you can complete some of the left over user stories. Please don't do that and do not ask your Scrum Master to do so. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.